And lawyers representing victims of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bomb attack are now urging both the Kenyan and American government to use their foreign relations policy to end the 25-year agony for victims who are yet to be compensated. Appearing before the Senate ad hoc committee that is pushing for the victims' compensation, lawyer Philip Musolino said there is a victim compensation fund set up by the U.S. Congress in 2014, but its wording does not include Kenyan victims. Musolino is urging the Kenyan government to face their U.S. counterparts to enable Kenyans benefit from the fund. Emily Chebet reports.
The issue of compensation of victims of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bomb attack in Nairobi has been a thorn in the flesh for the many victims and survivors of the horrendous attack by Al-Qaeda that saw over 200 people dead and thousands injured. For 25 years, the victims have been moving from one office to another, both in Kenya and the United States, with the hope of getting support that will enable them move on with their lives.
And for the last 4 years,
the victims' lawyers who appeared before the Senate ad hoc committee that is pushing for their compensation says it is time to settle the matter once and for all.
Members of Congress don't care what I think. They're not interested in meeting me. They're not interested in talking to me. I'm just an American lawyer with Kenyan clients. But they are very much interested in what the Kenyan government has to say. They've made clear to us in the past that they're waiting to hear from the Kenyan government. My belief is that the reason Secretary Blinken was at the August 7 event for the first time, my belief is that that happened because of this committee.
According to Musolino, there is a victim compensation fund set up by the U.S. Congress in 2014, which is not limited to American victims. Instead, it applies to judgment holding victims of state-sponsored terrorist attacks directed against the United States. But Kenyan victims have not been included.
The victims who have been blinded, who lost their wives and who lost their husbands, if someone thinks some counseling fixed that problem, I have to firmly disagree. We haven't come close to doing for the victims by way of compensation what we do every day in American courtrooms, no matter who the defendant is. Big corporations, little corporations, United States, state agents, we do it all the time.
During the decades of litigation up to the United States Supreme Court, Musolino's firm has managed to secure landmark rulings, including compensatory damages for each victim could fairly be calculated at $5 million US, in addition to punitive damages of $150 million US. A bellwether hearing in which representative victims and experts testified would be applicable to non-testifying plaintiffs. That the attack was directed at the United States and its embassy and citizens, not at Kenya or its citizens. And forms filed by thousands of Kenyan victims within 1 year of bombing could be used as evidence in court. That the emotional and psychological damages, including fear and PTSD, were sustained by all victims.
That we're not just here saying the United States is rich, it should pay our poor clients. We're here saying the United States has an obligation to its friends and allies. When one of the reasons the friends and allies don't get to see the sunset for the last 24 years is because the United States did not do what it should have been doing at the time.
What is out there is, why are you fighting for them and Kenyan government is quiet? Few want to promise you and the rest of Americans that Kenyan government is not quiet. Kenyan government has stood now through the Senate, and even the president of this country is aware of what we are doing, and I know he's on board, even the opposition leaders, because this is an issue of Kenya, not any partisan issue.
Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.